Welcome to Live at 0 BPM, bringing live music to you. Tonight, it's the Live at 0 BPM Socially Distant Jazz Roundtable, featuring Brad Dutz, Gary Meek, David Anderson, and Brad Rabuchin. If you care to donate, click on the donate tip jar link in the description or on our website at liveatzerobpm.com/tipjar. And now, let's get to the music with your host, Billy Halting.
Hey, everybody out there in TV land. It's great to be back for another week. And this is our last show in February. And we got a really good one tonight. We're going to talk about a lot of things. And we actually have a show topic. But before I get into that, I want to urge you to, where is my... here we go. I want to urge you to like and subscribe to all of our formats here. I don't know why it's not playing, but there we go. So Facebook, YouTube channel, Twitter, any of those, just go ahead and follow us and like us, subscribe. That all helps us get more promotion out, more people to find out about us. And now also, if you want to tip tonight, the link should be in the comments section. I'll put it in the chat rooms on both Facebook and YouTube, and then we'll get to that. But we got a great bunch of guys tonight. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties, you've known over the past couple of weeks, but we think we have most of them ironed out. So we're gonna keep going as we will, and also, we'll talk more about that later. Let me bring the guys in here. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, guys. Let's see who can we hear right now. Brad Dutz. Hello, Brad Dutz.
Hello.
Hey. Okay, David Anderson.
Hello, hello, hello.
All right, and Brad Rabuchin.
Hello.
And Gary Meek, do we have you back?
I hope so.
Yes, we do. All right.
All right.
Nice.
Woohoo! All right. So
I wasn't going to do it if Gary wasn't going to be here.
we're just going to leave. You're going to bail.
I'm just going to leave too, no point.
So I want to get to the music, but first I want to start. Because I was trying to fix a technical problem, I have to get my notes back up here. But thank you guys all for joining us. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Everybody's going to get to play a little bit. We're going to talk about some things. Our main topic tonight, though, is going to be about production. Not just production, but the process of doing recordings, either before the pandemic or during the pandemic, and what everybody's into these days. And I kind of want to jump to our veteran, Brad Rabuchin. This is your 8th appearance on all these shows. Including playing live with your band and that sort of thing.
Oh, man.
And let me just I'm going to play a clip. This is Brad playing with his band in our live stream shows with the bands, which are coming back in March. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. But let's take a listen to Brad here. All right, Brad. Now, tell us about that guitar, because people always want to know about that guitar. Is it the same one you're playing tonight?
Well,
look at that.
It's the same one I'm playing tonight. Look, I was able to borrow it. No. So this is a Sadowski Jim. Sadowski Jim Hall, and it's basically was designed by Roger Sadowski for Jim Hall, actually. So Jim Hall would have like a guitar to bring on the road that wasn't, like worth $100,000 or something.
Right.
And so this is the kind of guitar he played, and it's basically like very close to a 175 in size, a Gibson 175, which is classic. It's full hollow body jazz guitar, and I love it.
Cool. So let me start with Brad tonight, and we'll get into a group discussion, but I kind of want to go through each guy one at a time. But let me start with, the other Brad.
Okay.
Never booked two guys with the same name. Let me just put it that way. But Brad, you're working on a solo guitar project right now, right?
Oh, it is me.
Yes, you. Yes, I'm Brad Rabuchin.
Okay. I was. Yes, I am. Yeah. So this is an opportunity now to have a lot of time to do stuff, you know, because we're kind of locked in our little bunkers, you know. So I'm taking this opportunity to do something I've wanted to do a long time, which is to make a solo guitar record. And so
we were talking a little earlier about it, and I was going to ask you, when you do this, have you already worked out the arrangements and even ideas for the solo section, or how much of it are you just going to let the computer roll and just lay things down?
Well, I've always, you know, really liked the challenge of doing stuff on the spot and responding to the moment. You know, particularly like when I'm playing with other people, of course. Obviously, if I'm playing with myself, no joke intended, I'm, you know, I've got to play off of what I'm playing, but still I'm trying to respond to the moment. And so the idea is just I'm going to record some things, and just what seems to work is going to end up being on the record, you know. So, but I'm not going to work stuff. I'm going to have some idea, but nothing's going to be like a totally through composed thing. You know, it's all going to have a lot of room for improvisation that is different every time. And the idea is it might, you know, be worse, but it also has the potential of being better than anything I could work out.
Well, that's interesting. Now, if
anyway, that's my feeling.
Are you doing originals or standards, or where are you getting your music from?
I'm doing both, and also, you know, a couple of other quirky things like Wichita Lineman. I'm going to probably that's going to be on there almost for sure.
Yeah, you've played that with your trios here a couple of times, and that's a great arrangement. And I think, did you play that last time you were on the show?
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's great. You can go back and see one of the previous episodes with Brad. But it's interesting if you do these sorts of albums where you're just going to let it go. Would you see yourself maybe playing the same tune again several days later to see if different inspiration hits you for the tune, or kind of like, I'm going to do one shot and whatever happens, happens?
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is I'm really charging myself a really low rate for recording.
Oh, good.
So I've got plenty of recording time available. It's not going to cost me that much. So I'm going to, you know, so I'm going to do that. You know, I'm going to do, you know, like, I'm not going to just record one day, which is usually what I've done in the past, you know, going to the studio and just record everything in one day. I'm just going to keep recording until I have enough stuff that I like. You know, and it might end up even being 2 albums. It might end up being more of a normal standards album, and then another album that's more like kind of my stuff and the quirkier stuff.
Oh, okay.
You know, because I'm just kind of. I'm kind of improvising even the direction of the record, if that makes sense. I didn't like make a song list and I'm going to do specifically these songs, because, you know, I have about 15 or 20 things in mind, but obviously they're all not going to fit on one CD. So the ones that sound the best, those are what's going to be on the CD. And
then, you know, this is the perfect time during the pandemic, because like you said, we got nothing but time. So you have the luxury, and I'm sure the other guys will say that you guys are all affordable for your own projects, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That's cool. Well, then, you know, since we're talking about the solo thing, Brad Rabuchin,
yes.
Do you want to play your piece? Let me find you. There you are. There's the camera. Do you want to play a little piece for us?
Play now.
Yeah. What would you like?
Okay.
What are you gonna play? Why don't you intro it and then let her rip?
I was thinking I'd be third. Okay. Let me then put the strap on. So I'm gonna. What am I gonna play? See, this is how improvisational it is. I'm not even really sure which tune I'm gonna play right now. I think I'm gonna do Green Dolphin Street right now.
All right. Well, take it away.
And just let me get this. Get my strap on here. Don't want to lose the guitar in mid song. Okay, that looks like a good. Okay.
Wow. Very nice, Brad.
That was very nice, Brad. You got a standing ovation from the crowd.
Wow, that's pretty good.
So, Brad, you got a couple of messages people want to chime in. It's hard to write down everybody while I'm listening, but Arndt from overseas says he misses your workshops and says to say hello. And then
cool.
also, just for some of the other ones, Karen says, very cool format. Hi, Brad. Woody says, hi, Brad and Dave. I'm not sure which Brad.
Cool.
Jamila's here,
accept
and
it. I'll
Arndt, and
take
a
it.
whole bunch of other people. The regulars are here. Toby and Phil and all those guys. So nice to see you. Some new faces up there, and so thank you all. And we'll get to some of that later. But thank you, Brad. We're going to talk about your past projects and then something you've done called the bunker sessions. We're going to come back to that though in a little bit. Let's go up
Okay.
to Brad Dutz. That way I get all the Brads done ahead of time. At the beginning. Hey, Brad Dutz, how are you?
Thank you for doing this. Great to be here. Thanks. It's gonna be fun.
Now let me intro you guys. Brad has played here a couple of times. You played here with the trio with, was it Brosis? Micah?
Yeah, Cole and Micah.
Cola
Yeah,
and Micah.
trio.
It was a really cool night there. It was we were doing a New Muse Tuesday or New Music Monday or something, and it was really cool because it was all improvised, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And as you were telling me the other day, I've known Brad forever. I think I met you when I was still in college back, and Brad's always been considered widely. And, percussionists, we talk about each other. It's usually very respectful. And one thing that we always say is Brad is the most versatile cat in town, kind of hands down. I mean, he plays all the mallet instruments great, reads everything, does the sessions, plays the ethnic hand percussion, and not like some of us that just play like, oh, I play congas and Brazilian stuff. Brad's going to play a little bit, some of the, why don't you pick up one of the conjura?
It's here. Let's see.
Brad plays all the different hand drums and frame drums from all over the world and plays bones and just all this. He's really an amazing musician. He's also like a driving force of the new music scene here in Los Angeles. Very well known and respected with that, and he's got like 1,000 albums out. But tell us about this little drum, the conjura.
This is just a really cool South Indian drum with a snake skin, and I use it in a lot improvised music, but it just has a lot of versatility for such a small drum. Right?
Yeah.
And it can go anywhere because it's so tiny. Is that okay? You can hear it on the mic all right?
Oh yeah, it sounds great. Now, we were talking the other day also about how like every country seems to have its traditional drum of some sort. And we were talking, some of them are very similar. Like in the Middle East, you see the doumbek a lot, but there's a lot of countries that have them that are very similar to that. And now, which one is that exactly?
This is the Darabuka from Turkey.
Okay.
Which is very similar to a doumbek. It's just metal, right? And then again, the tablas from India, right?
Right.
There's just they're all incredibly different. What I really find fascinating is the hybrids that come from instrument makers. For instance, like the Udu from Nigeria, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this maker put a drum head on it, so it's just a hybrid frame drum, doumbek, and a Udu together. So it's really cool because then all of a sudden you have an instrument that's not only crossing cultures, but you have to cross the techniques. So it's really a fun thing to experiment with an African technique on an Indian drum or a Brazilian technique on an Irish drum. That's what I kind of enjoy the most, right?
Oh, that's cool. Now, you have a new album out with you, the duet with Chris Wabich, who's been on here, our show a bunch of times as well.
Right.
Yeah, and so I want to talk, you guys have a ton of history between the two of you, right?
Yeah,
Like what?
Yeah, 28 years. Yeah.
Wow, that's a good run.
Yeah,
And,
about 6 or 8 tours and about 10 projects.
now, the
all on-
projects,
at Bandcamp.
are you doing compositions? Is it all improvised? How do you do, what's the process going in to do one of the albums with the two of you?
From the 10 projects we've done, I'd say about 4 to 5 have had some compositions. 6 or 7 or 6 or 5 basically we just sit down and we may have a rough form, but it's about 80% improvised. The one that just came out February 5th is Probably Man Probably, and that's basically was done at Chris's house, and Chris has a great big cadis and marimba, and we hadn't explored too much on the marimba drum set duos. We had done a lot of different instruments, but that's kind of one of our first projects with a lot of marimba, you know, and hand percussion as well. So
Yeah, and you
we've
said
done
you just
things with
you said you just went over to his house and there was this big marimba there, and it's like, well, let's just record a bunch of stuff, and an album came out of it.
Yeah. It was very fun because I had never played his large marimba, and he had it in the attic, and he got new bars, and so it was really great to play. You know, when you move to a different mallet instrument, you all of a sudden just do different things because of the feel and the range is completely the size of the bars. You just play different because it's so new all of a sudden, but it's still a marimba. Right?
That's very cool. And now you're going to play us a little piece on the Vibes, right?
Yeah.
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 Why don't you make up a name for it and play it for us?
Okay, this is called a Lost in the Snow, and it's basically dedicated to my snowstorm last week. And it's just a rising line with the free section in the middle will be steel drum and auto harp. Here we go.
Nice. Brad Dutz, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
That's great.
Little auto harp there.
Yeah, that was.
Kind of a new addition.
Yeah, that's a
auto
double.
harp. Yeah, well, you know, it's something I definitely don't play, but it makes a sound. You know?
So I want to talk about the improvisational nature of your recordings in Bandcamp, but let's do that towards the end because Bandcamp is kind of a new format. I want to hip all the musicians to because it sounds like a really great way to get your music out there and actually see some returns from it. You know. Monetarily.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to cut back to that because I want you to talk about some of your other CDs, your new group with Ron Pedley and all that sort of stuff. So let's go to Gary Meek. Can we still hear you, Gary? Oh, we lost you, Gary. Do you have all the buttons pressed properly? Okay, well maybe try doing a restart, and I'm going to jump down to David Anderson for a minute. And how are you, David?
I am well, thank you.
Good,
Can you hear
good.
me
Hey,
okay?
let me get to my little David duo screen here. So, but yeah, Gary, try to figure that out, and if you need to jump off and come back, we can do that. David Anderson, that is a very cool. It's like a man cave with the drum set in it.
It is. Absolutely. Yeah, I like
Very
it.
cool.
All right, Dave.
Yeah, Dave's an interesting cat. He's one of the more musical drummers in town, and you've done a bunch of tours. He's from Oklahoma, and we've had a famous Oklahoma jazz musician on one of the shows before. But you were out with Keiko Matsui and the Rippingtons and David Benoit and Kurt Whalum and a bunch of the kind of the groove jazz cats, which sounds like a lot of fun. But you did a straight ahead tour. Who was that with?
I played with Clark Terry when I was in college. I played with Eddie Harris. That
Wow.
was the first gig I got when I got to L.A., which was like going to grad school. And Eddie was a very scary musician. And, yeah, stuff like that.
They're very cool.
Yeah,
And now
little bit of
you
this,
have a
little bit of that.
project now called the Groove Lexicon.
Yes.
Yeah, why don't you
Yeah,
tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the Groove Lexicon, I co-lead that with Bill Fulton, and Bill is he's the brains of the whole operation, and I'm kind of the brawn. So he does all the writing and arranging, and I book the gigs and work the security and stuff like that.
Keep everybody in line. Now, I have a little track. This is Until You Come Back to Me. I took a little clip from this. It's on YouTube, and I don't know, I was running late, so I will make sure that the descriptions are updated with all the links, and also on the archives page there's a link to the show notes, has the links of the full clips of everything I play a short bit from tonight, so guys can
Well,
check
just a
that
quick
out.
setup
What's that?
Oh, so just a quick setup to this tune,
Okay, please.
if I may. Yeah, well, the tune, I've always loved the tune. It's actually a Stevie Wonder tune that Aretha Franklin made famous. And I thought, wow, what would like a mini big band sound like? And with Felice Hernandez singing it. And so I, told Bill, I said, hey, why don't you, see what you can do with this? And he came up with this really cool kind of odd meter, but still kind of funky arrangement. So that's the setup. So
Well, yeah, and tell me the process. It was kind of interesting because obviously during the pandemic we're all individually tracking. Nobody's getting together to play. But you explained to me how Bill and you set this track up and did the recording. Can you kind of go through the different steps for us?
Sure. Usually what happens is that I'll get a demo track from Bill, and he'll send that to me with rough piano, synth bass, and if there are like horn stabs, those will be on there. So that's the first step, and then all that eventually goes away. Then from there I'll put the drum track on, and then I'll send it over to the bass player, Adam Cohen, and he'll put a bass track on. Then we'll send it back to Bill, and he'll redo his part. So now we have like, the core rhythm section, then usually guitar after that, then horns, and then vocals, if there's any vocals on the tune. So
Yeah, I think it's actually really cool. You start from the format and the arrangement, but then Bill can go back and redo his parts, to fit the band more as if you guys were all playing live together. So let's take a quick listen to this.
Absolutely.
This is Groove Lexicon playing Until You Come Back to Me.
Why did you have to decide you had to set me free? I'm gonna swallow my pride, beg you to please see me. I'm gonna walk by myself to prove that my love is true. Ooh, till you come back to me, that's what I'm gonna do. Living for you, my dear, is like living in a world of constant tears. Hear my plea, I've got to make you see that our love is dying. Oh, although you're
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. And like I said, you'll be able to find the link to the full. We'll give you the applause because it was great. All the guys playing on the recording. And so that's very cool. Do you want to play a little bit for us right now?
Yeah, I'll play something a little bit light. It is a little after dark, and I'm usually done practicing around 2 o'clock in the afternoon with my neighbors, but they're usually pretty good sports. So I'll mute this. I'll just play something light on the hi-hat a la Buddy Rich kind of style.
Okay.
So let me just mute the mic, and I'll...
Yeah.
Very cool. David Anderson, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
Sorry, I have to go back and unmute the microphone there. So
That's the neighbor-friendly drum solo.
that's the neighbor-friendly. Thank you guys for being good sports if you're watching.
Neighbor-friendly drums. We'll do a whole
Am I
track.
back, Billy?
What's that? You're back. Gary's back.
back.
Oh,
cool.
before he
All right.
disappears. So, David, I do want to come back because we did talk about something else. I hate to do this. It's like teasers. Come back in 10 minutes and hear what David has to say about the internet.
Yes. Yes.
But let's. I have a couple of shout outs. First, I got a tip from Rick Converse. And then I want to say
Nice.
hello to a couple more people out there. My brother Fred is out there. Dave Hill says, sounds great, saying hi, smoothly going. I get some compliments. Now, the funny thing about this is the delay to the internet is about 30 seconds. So comments come in like when the next person is playing for the first person. But Phil said, watching you play all those chords made him feel bad because of his chubby fingers. He can't get to all of those. And then Karen said, Brad Dutz, yay. Ellen said, cool, snowy peace, Brad. Gary, you got a hello from Larry and Mitsui.
Cool.
Let's see. I'm trying to look through all these. Michael Whitmore says, hi, Brad. He really liked that. I think the guitar solo, I didn't write all the notes down. They're flying by. I can't see them all on the screen, so I've got to write down a few. And it just so. And Jazz Front Leader is Brad Dutz is in Washington. Yeah, his old home state. So I'm not sure who Jazz Forest Leader is. So if you want to put your name down there, I'll say hi to your name. And then we have a lot of other people. Let's see. Leap in the Dark Production says, love you guys. Cisneros, hey, Chris. He says, that's awesome. Larry Sweezy, hi, Gary from Larry. Oh, I said that's Larry. I'm trying to see if I can find everybody. And all the regulars, Tawny says, Brad Dutz, you're awesome. So we got a good group here. Oh, Juliet's here. Hi, Juliet. But let's get to Gary, because let me go to my magic.
Yeah,
Gary
before he
Duo
disappears
screen.
again.
Yes, before he runs out, because I've only been paid for 15 minutes.
That's right. I've had to restart my computer twice now during this show. So
It's not a perfect system.
yeah.
So
I think there's just a lot of factors that are trying to be figured out simultaneously. But
yeah,
it's still kind of a miracle that we can even do this, isn't it?
it really is. And we're going to talk a bit about your new fusion project and the album that you've kind of been promoting lately. Although the originals that's been out for a while. Well, actually, let's talk about that originals.
Okay.
You had an all-star cast.
Yes.
And you said that. Tell us the process with that one, because everybody lived in a different city, so you couldn't go to Capitol and rehearse for a week. How did you set it up, and tell us what the process of all that?
Well, I knew I wanted to make a new record. Actually, I didn't know I wanted to make a new record. It's kind of funny. I was a clinician for the Monterey Jazz Festival for a while. We used to do the summer camp for the kids, and we'd have an artist in residence. We had Joe Lovano one year. We had Ted Nash. We had Branford Marcellus was there. What's his name? Josh Redman was there one year. It just starts. And the one year was Terry Lynn Carrington, and and I just love her. I just love the way she plays. And so we met each other like on the road in different circumstances and stuff like that. And I got a chance to play a little bit at the band camp. You know, we played a tune together, and then we were hanging out like in the coffee room or whatever, and I just happened to ask her. It just occurred to me to ask her. I said, "Do you have any contractual obligations that preclude you from playing on as a sideman on someone's record?" She said, "No." You know, I said, "If I was to do a record, would you like to play on it?" She said, "Sure." So that was the beginning of it. And so I had I had my drummer. I knew I wanted Brian Bromberg to produce and to play because he's an old friend of mine.
Yeah.
And then we got Mitch Foreman and that was the rhythm section. Brian Bromberg, Mitch Foreman, and Terry Lynn Carrington.
Were you worried at all that using the word preclude might be a big word for a jazz musician to understand?
Not for her. She's pretty smart.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, well, that's a pretty killer lineup there. And I have a couple of clips for you, but let me just,
Okay.
we're going to get into that fusion band thing a little later. I just want to get everybody a chance to play. Now, you're going to play a very melodic tune,
Yes, I am.
My One and Only Love. Now, what key are you doing this in?
Oh, it's the key of A major.
And why would you do that? I know the answer, I think, but I want to hear the answer.
Well, what would you think, Billy?
Well, I heard the track with the vocalist on it.
Yep,
So I was
that's why.
guessing you were doing it in her key. So,
Yes, B flat's too high. You got to lower it.
Yeah, and so but you have replaced the vocal track on it, and this is a beautiful thing. So why don't you serenade us there, Gary?
Okay, I will. Here we go.
Yeah, man, that was great.
Cool.
Now, are you playing on the track also, or who's on that?
Yeah, I'm playing the piano.
Mm-hmm.
And let me turn my. I'm playing the piano. A guy up here, Santa Cruz guy, Dan Robbins, is playing the bass, upright bass, and my drummer Skylar Campbell is playing the brushes.
So these are the same guys that play in the fusion band that you're working with.
No, not Dan. Dan played in my jazz group, the Gary Meek Quintet, that we did all the originals music with. He's a badass bass player, man. Good upright player.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
well, we got a couple of people that actually typed in while you were playing, Gary. So I don't have to tell you
that's
10
nice.
minutes from now that it was fantastic. But Damien says Gary has such good tone and control. Toby Simmons said, so sexy, Gary. Kathy Seeger Garcia. Oh, she actually says, hi, Dutzer. We'll get back. We should do a whole show on just Brad's nicknames for everybody in Los Angeles because he has the best. My old buddy Gary Gardner, he used to call him Gary Gardner from Mars. Anyway, but back to you, Gary. Let's see. Dave Hill says, beautiful Gary. Diana, hi, Diana. She's one of our. Oh, you're in Texas, aren't you, Diana? I hope you're okay. I hope anybody in Texas is doing okay.
Yeah.
She says, Gary, how romantic. Let's see. And Joey De Leon said to tell David Anderson he loves your playing, he misses playing with you, and to say hi. So I'm trying to get caught up on all this. But that was beautiful. You know, before we go on, I just want to do this. I got to shout out to some people here. Ron and Larry, I can never remember how to pronounce her name. Ron Jones and his wife sent a tip. So thanks, Ron. I'm glad you could log in. We were having some trouble before getting him logged in. Joey De Leon, who's coming up in a couple of weeks. I think he's going to do the second one in March, the third Tuesday of March. And I'll explain that. He's going to do one. We're trying to find some other guests to come on with him. But then I think I mentioned Rick Converse already tipped, and my friend Susan tipped. Thank you very much. And more are coming in. Michael Powelson just sent a tip in. So thank you guys for that. You know, the tips get divided up. With everybody you see on the screen, we do it evenly, and even though Gary wanted more money than the others, we said no, and we unionized and kept it. I'm just kidding. These guys are all like the nicest guys in the world. So, but you know, we're halfway through the show, which means, wait a minute, is it time? Uh-oh. You know what this means, people. It's time for Conversations in Music. All right. This is the highlight of the show for some people.
Cool.
So what we're going to do here is those guys are going to trade fours. And, you know, and even though it's late at night for David and his neighbors, you know, maybe they're watching, David. You should have told them all to tune in. So, so we're going to do this.
He'll keep stopping, and they'll think he stopped.
Yeah. We normally do the blues, but tonight we're going to go a little more freeform with it. So,
Can you still hear me, by the way?
Yes, I can.
All right.
If I lose you, Gary, I will knock you off and just jump back in, and we'll see if that works. Okay? So count it off, Brad Dutz, and let's do some conversations in music. Go.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go.
Oh, we don't have Gary.
Oh, darn. Brad, Rabbi.
All right. Well, that was a serious conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry Gary couldn't join us for most of this. It's just such a drag. You know, his system was so stable all week, and there's just some real high-end thing. For people out there that are
was an
listening, the
excellent use
system
of
that we're
space.
using is the only one that allows guests to come in stereo. So that's why we're using it. If we went back to mono, it just doesn't sound right. So we're still working on this, and I'm still working with tech support, but we're doing better tonight than we have. Nobody's gotten bounced. It's just we're having some tech problems on Gary's side. But he'll be back.
All
I
right.
say we just dock him. I say we just dock his pay.
So, but
He can't even be here for the whole gig, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So we got a lot of comments on that. You cats are dynamite, says Jim Jones. Tawny Lynn says, I love you so much, Brad Dino. Phil, sorry. Chris Blondal is here. Go, guys, go. David can play. Give the drummer some, says Phil. Ellen Burr is like, yeah, Juliet Marshall is awesome. And Michael Whitmore is clapping. And Karen is saying, I'm so glad your neighbors let you play, David.
Yeah.
Well,
Not
send,
away,
them all,
David.
send them all a bouquet of flowers saying, hey, thanks for last night. So
I will.
anyway, we have a bunch more tips that have come in. I want to thank Chris. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Dave Hill. Thank you, Katja. And thank you, Howard Lubin, as well as Susan, Fred, and Rick. I think I got everybody so far. It's my iPad is not behaving, so I'm trying to. Oh, let's see. We got Larry Sweezy, and then Mark, and they also sent some tips in, which is great. So thank you guys so much for that. So let's go back. Oh, Gary Meek is trying. Let's see if we get Gary. Dun dun dun.
Yes.
Can we hear you?
There you, Gary.
I
Meekus.
do, I
There
do believe
he's
I'm
back.
Welcome back.
All right, Meekus.
I know these
You know-
shows are we build them as an hour because we don't want people to think that it's going to be a 3-hour thing. That's a tough commitment. But we're going to go a little over tonight because we got a lot more to do with these guys. But I will tell you the new format. Let me just go to my upcoming shows little screen here. And I'll talk about that a bit. Okay. So, March, I'm taking the week off next week because we're retooling for March. And the schedule from now, we're going to have live bands back here in the studio on Thursday nights, and the first and third Tuesday will be Jazz Roundtable. I'm dropping the socially distance off it because now we're starting Jazz Roundtable, and also I'm going to release those as podcasts as well. So if you miss it or you just want to listen to the conversation, some of the music again, you can subscribe to the podcast. I'll send out more information about that. But the exciting thing is in March, the first one, we have the Jazz Roundtable is going to be with Michael O'Neill. Joey, it says up there, he's on the first one, but he's actually going to be on the 16th, and we're thinking about doing a Latin jazz roundtable for that, a Latin jazz roundtable. And so the bands we have coming up next month are Switchblade 3, that's a rockabilly band, total party band, a lot of fun. Kerry Frank Trio. Gary Novak is playing drums, and John, I can't remember who the bass player is, and I'm sorry for that. I should have had it in my notes. Then David Becker is going to come and do the one-man band. We've had to postpone him twice. David's a good sport, and he's actually watching on YouTube right now, so hi, David. That's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool stuff with loops and everything. Some of like what he did with Brad when they did their For John duo last year. And then Pat Kelly is bringing a trio in, and I believe that's John Leftwich and the drummer, Steve Haas. So that'll be a great night, and that is our March. And then we're going to continue this through April, try to keep with this format. So if you want to listen to live bands, come on every Thursday, 7 to 8-ish Pacific Standard Time. And then the first and third Tuesday, we're going to do these jazz forums. If you have ideas and you want to, I should put the survey up in the chat rooms. Thank you, Toby, for reminding me to do that. I'll put the survey up in there. If you want to take that, it gives us a better idea of the kinds of things you want to hear and the formatting of the Jazz Roundtable shows to make it more interesting for you. So let's get back to the guys here. Where are you? If I hit Magic Apple 5, I should get them. Oh, there they are. So I'm also looking at my notes. Oh, let's see. Lisa sent a Tail a Cab. Lisa sent a tip in. Thank you, Lisa. Let me get back to my notes here. Now I kind of want to dig in more on the albums, and we can all kind of jump in on this because everybody has a little bit of a different approach. We've kind of talked to David about how they do the pieces and then they replace some parts. Now, Gary, you're doing a fusion project now.
Right.
You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yeah. You know Michael Lint, right?
Ooh, unpad your microphone.
Oh. There. How's
There you
that? Is
go.
that better?
There you are.
Okay. You know Mike Lint, right? The guitar player?
I do, personally, yes.
Yes. Okay. He lives up here, so we're friends, and we do a lot of stuff together. And we were teaching out of the same school, and one day I said, Mike, we should start a fusion band, man. This should be a good place to have a fusion band. This is like a year and a half ago before any of this started. So we started rehearsing and stuff, and we wanted to have like a really cool sound, like you used to walk into Lake Cafe or whatever and hear like that really cool 80s fusion sound, with nice stereo sound and all that kind of stuff, and it was kind of missing because a lot of the bands up here are just like 4 guys in a room and playing whatever, and it sounds like it sounds, and I think this area was kind of hungering for like a really good sounding group, And so we decided to do that, and then the pandemic hit, and kind of nothing was really happening. And then I just, well, let me make a demo. So I made a demo of one of my old songs, and I sent it to Mike, and he said, "This sounds great, man. Let's work on it." So and then I got fortunate enough to my drummer Skylar Campbell. He bought some recording gear, and he bought an interface and some cool overhead mics and all that kind of stuff. And so I said, well, let's use the school, because the school's not being used. Dennis Murphy School of Music. Dennis graciously allowed us to set his drums up in the school for recording and leave them there. So I have a place to record live drums for free. So that's a huge bonus, because I don't have to pay for a studio, and I don't have to fly anybody in from Boston.
So this is quite a contrast from the other group of guys where they did their homework ahead of time, came in, and you had a couple of days to record. Now you guys can actually rehearse a bit and feel things out.
And we can revise until we're happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. So I have two clips, and tell me which one is this band. I have Monterey Groove and Bosphorus Blues. Which one should we play?
Monterey Groove is the real band with Mike Lent and.
Okay, well, let me play a little clip from this. Is that okay?
Yeah. Brad Dutz will probably recognize this song. It's an old one.
Nice.
Here we go.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just my solo section.
This is what I did. I'm going through this clip, and I'm thinking, man, the head on this chart is so happening. But I like the solo so much, and that way we tease the people in. Now they're going to have to find that link when I post it and go listen to the whole thing.
There you go.
The head is really smoking.
We'll research that.
Yeah. I will put it in and I will put it in the description. So if you come back to these videos, it'll be in the description.
Cool. You can see all these videos on my YouTube channel and also on my Facebook page.
Yeah, on the show notes pages, I have everybody's bio, links to everybody's bio, and then so you can go to it actually takes you to the artist page, the musicians page, where everybody's listed, but with a special search. So hopefully they'll be in the top rankings.
Cool.
And then you can find everything from their YouTube channel, their Facebook page, their Bandcamp, their SoundClouds, anything like that. So Twitter, all those kinds of good things. So, but now this is really cool. Now, how far through this project are you?
We've got about 6 tunes.
That's an EP.
So I figured. Easy. Yeah, we've probably got 40 minutes of music, and plus I have some other stuff that I can use. I mean, I could. It's really up to me what I want to do, because it's not like the old days where you get a record deal from a record label and But here's what I want to do. You know what I mean? It's so liberating. I have a guy in St. Louis. Who has a record label called Autumn Hill Records, and the connection is Dave Weckl, because Dave's from St. Louis, and so he's really good friends. He's going to release the Dave Weckl acoustic band album that I'm on with Makoto Ozoni, and he's also going to release Dave's wife's record, Clivia Tanisi. She's a very good Italian Brazilian style singer. And let's see who else. Tom Kennedy's going to be on there. Eric Marienthal's going to be on there.
Very cool.
So it's kind of all the Dave Weckl Chicoria Electric Band connection guys.
It's like a tribute band.
Yeah, there's no band, but it's like if you took all the guys on the label, you could make a pretty damn good band.
It's the all-star thing. Well, that's very cool. Okay, well. That's if we have time later, maybe we'll play the other clip. But the other Bosphorus Blues is really great also. And I took the head from that clip, the melody from that clip. I didn't just go right to your solo. I guess I was thinking I was going to be able to play both. But let's go back to the group here. Oops, I keep pressing I'm in the wrong program and I keep pressing the wrong hotkey. I gotta get better at this. So there we go. There's the gang. So Brad Rabuchin, you have a couple of albums out. Cats Have Edge and When Smart Dogs Go Bad.
Right.
Good titles.
So now you did those all. That was back in the day when everybody got into a room and played together, right?
Yeah, I barely remember that, but yes, that's
It was a while
that
ago.
time.
But then you did two albums recently. One was For John with David Becker. It was the duo. You guys
Right.
played some of the tunes from this night, and then you also said that Held to a Different Standard with Alan Hines and those guys was also a little bit more, getting the live vibe from it, right?
Right. Well, actually, all four of those albums were basically recorded live. So the only one, Smart Dogs Go Bad, the first one, was 2 days because that had like 3 horns on some stuff, but everything else was just one day. Because my thing is, I just want to I want to record with everyone at the same time, and hopefully something good will happen, and if not, we'll just come back and do it again. So that's kind of my approach, because I like the music for the moment.
Yeah, no, I understand. That's
you
very
know,
cool.
and just seeing what happens, and like the one when Cats Have Edge, actually that one recorded, that was just meant to be, okay, let's just see if we can even do this, because we actually recorded that with everyone. It was live, but everyone was in a different room. We couldn't even see each other, but we'd played together enough that actually it came out really good.
That is cool. Now, I remember when the first lockdown happened in March, April, so
Yeah.
you started something called the Bunker Sessions. And I think this
Right.
is because, as you said before, that you really like the interaction between musicians, but there isn't a specific way to really do that now because we're all just recording. But these tunes, it wasn't like, hey, I'm playing the head to this tune, jump in. People would explain how they did it off the Facebook page.
Well, the original idea was just to grab things. If someone like played something, like one of the first ones I did was a trumpet player I know did a solo version of Alone Together, and so I just grabbed that off of Facebook and I just played a guitar part to it, and then it and it actually worked really well. But he didn't intend he intended to be a solo thing, and of course so I had to tell him I did it after the fact. But the point was I just kind of did it, so I did just grabbing things and just even adding stuff, even if there wasn't even another part or a tune, and then other things were a little bit more structured, but still the idea was just sort of like you do your thing to it, and then someone else might add something else, or not, or maybe it's good enough,
I have a clip, and you know what it's going to be. Why don't you set it up for us?
Okay. Well, this is Tom Bartolak, who's a friend of mine, also knows a tabla player living in India, really, tabla master. And so he hooked us up, and he sent me, and he saw the Bunker Session thing on Facebook as a group, and he said, "Oh, I want to do something." So he sent me a thing, and so I put something over it. But again, I sort of had to structure something over it. This had to be a little. I had to work on it a little bit because, he has a T-high and stuff. And, so there's some Indian
Right.
things in there that are a little treacherous. In other words, So I kind of worked out something and then I played over it. But still, basically improvisational.
Well, let me play this for the gang. So this
And I've never met him. We've never been, even been in the same continent.
Yeah.
Although
that's
he's been to LA, but
One
I
of the
didn't know
great
him then.
things about music, you don't necessarily have to.
Yeah.
So let me just play a little bit of
Yeah,
this.
but okay, cool.
Very
Nice.
cool. Yeah, you got that. And now you lost a perfectly good opportunity to take that green screen behind him and replace it with something.
Yeah, well, yeah, I made that. Well, actually, I did actually. Tom Bartolak put that video together, but I'm just kind of learning how to do video, because that's one of the things, it's a time to learn new things. So like I'm learning
Right.
how to record better and also how to do video at the same time, which is hard, actually to
is.
do video by yourself and audio and have it come out and then piece it together.
It is very difficult to be both, because it doesn't sound the same in your head, the headphones, when you're playing and doing all that sort of stuff.
Right.
That's why engineering is a whole other instrument. It's a whole other gig. So, but that's very cool. So the Bunker Sessions is still up on Facebook, right?
Yeah, and the idea, it's a lot of other people have joined in too and added things, and yeah, if it still exists, in fact, some people you can put up just like a drum groove or a guitar part or a keyboard part or something, and people can just take it off of, because there's a way to take videos off of YouTube, without.
Right. Well, Karen
so
said, "Very cool, Brad." She really liked the break rhythm in the middle. That's the T-high you were talking about.
Right, exactly. That's an Indian thing. Yeah, where the rhythm kind of goes against the time. But it comes out in the end.
Now, Dave Hill
I guess
asked a
that's a
question
very-
that I was going to ask, and that is, what was that? Was that a 12-string electric, or was that what was the guitar in the bottom frame?
Oh, that's a 12-string electric.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's a Pinter guitar. Yeah. And
Cool.
so first I did that, and then I did the other, the top guitar.
And what your friend Taylor Hatch says, Brad, good to see you. Sound great as always. He's always shows up when Brad's playing. That's great. Hi, Taylor. Good to see
Cool.
you.
Cool.
Thanks,
Taylor.
So I'm gonna jump back here to the group, and I'm gonna talk to before we get to the end of all this. Oh, I got to get back to the right program to get back to the group. There we are. So Brad, we mentioned it earlier. Is the you have a bunch of CDs out with all sorts of different ensembles.
Yes.
Brad Dutz. Yeah, and can you tell us about a couple of those? Because some of them are not like standard, what we'd think of as standard.
Oh, thank you.
ensembles.
Well, I have to say one kind of advantage of a shutdown is we're just really motivated to keep playing music and set up combinations and different things that had happened that never happened before. For instance, I did a duo project with John Fumo, and then I did a trio with John Fumo and Tony Green, and me and Wabish did 2 or 3 projects. And this latest one is Karen Elaine on viola and Ellen Burr on flute with percussion. And it's really cool to have the viola, flute, and percussion combination. And Bandcamp is the saver. This website, Bandcamp, is, anybody can put anything up as long as it's, a WAV file. And it's a fantastic site that really helps artists, because you're just putting up what you want and trying to get it out there and say, hey, look at this latest thing. I've done 6 projects in a month, in a year, because sitting at home, if we can't play as musicians, we've lost our ability to express ourselves unless you just want to play solo all day, which I'll never do a solo record. I'm not interested. It's the the communication between the characters. So trying to set up groups or combinations that haven't existed before have been motivating for me. So if you can go to Bandcamp, you'll see all kinds of interesting combinations that haven't happened, and the internet is making it possible to record with. I'm doing a new duo with Bevan Manson in Albuquerque, New Mexico, or with Ron Pedley and Matt Bissonette, that trio, and with Karen and Ellen. So it's just trying to find new colors that we haven't found before. As long as you have an interface and a mic and a computer and a digital audio workstation,
well, it
there's
seems
a certain.
It seems to me the advantages of Bandcamp, like you were explaining to me, it's not a site like what we all used to be on, where it's like, and they can get it to the streaming services, they can do all that. It's a place where you get to pick your price, you get a ton of options. People can either just outright buy a CD, they can download it, or if once they've paid for it, they can stream it anytime from the site, so it's not dependent on your memory. You said they pay you immediately, which is nice.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's way you described the other day, it's like you can kind of just jam and put it up there, and people can pay for it and that sort of thing. And to me, it reminds me of when I was with the Zappa Play Zappa gig. We played a lot of jam band festivals, and they were all recording their concerts and then selling them on thumb drives to everybody. So it's people can really partake and support the improvisation. Well, it doesn't even have to be improvisation. They can just support the music scene in a more rapid succession than it can be to go through the whole thing of getting it up there, and then it's on Apple Music, and you can stream it 1 billion times. You don't see a penny for it. It just seems like people can really connect with the artist. So we'll have a link to the new CD, especially. What's it called again?
Well,
the new one
me
with
and Chris have. That's called Probably Man Probably, which came from Maybe Man Maybe, which came from Yeah Man Yeah. All those are duo projects that we've, and so I think the title is very important for the creativity. The creativity extends to the titles. So you want to entertain on all levels, right? So the other one with Karen and Ellen is viola and bass, flute, and percussion. So those kind of combinations are really fun because you discover a whole new timbre you couldn't imagine before.
Okay, well, in the show notes, I'll have a link to Probably Man Probably, and that's on Bandcamp. And it's actually, it links to your, I think it links to just your profile with all of your albums. And you can find other artists there. I've heard people talk about it, and the other day I just had a minute, I was kind of poking around, and it looked like a really cool way to find new artists and support small new artists. So, so that's
and you
very
get
cool.
followers. Yeah, one person leads to another. Can you just try to gather followers, just like you do for your show or Zero BPM?
Interesting. Yeah, so you can have followers, so they're notified when you have a new album. That's very cool.
They'll send a notice and say, "Hey, check this out. It's great." And then you can link to other artists. So it's all very helpful in the digital, computer new age, world we have.
That's very cool. So I'm going to jump back to the group here, and we're going to wind things up in a bit. But I was talking to David Anderson. And, I like to ask everybody ahead of time do you have I hate to call it a soapbox, but everybody has like a topic they love to talk about. I like to talk about exercising your musical demons. But David brought up something I thought would be good for the whole group, the whole round table to discuss. And David, do you remember what that was?
Well, I think it was the direction that musicianship with a lot of younger musicians is going today with formats like Instagram, or Facebook. And what I'm noticing is that there's a lot of young people out there that really have a lot of technical facility, but because there are not gigs to play anymore, not like there were in the 80s where you'd play 6-7 nights a week, where you had to play 4 hours a night. That really does something for your playing. And what I'm noticing a lot now is an emphasis on individuality within the ensemble, a sort of look at me at the same time. And I don't notice a lot of team support because everybody wants to display, for lack of a better term, their chops. And I think the mentality is, what I always tell students is just because you can do something incredibly technically brilliant or fast or whatever you want to call it. I don't even like to use fast in my musical vocabulary, but doesn't mean you should. And there has to be more discretion and choice in what you use musically. And I think for guys our age and older, it's kind of our duty to kind of pass that along because I think we all came up in a time, for myself, when I would play with a lot of older guys that weren't nice back in the day. I got cursed out on the bandstand as a teenager and would go home crying, But, I would not trade that experience for anything because it keeps you on your toes. And I think in today's world, there's a lot of you're great. Nobody really wants to tell you the truth about, what you're doing. And I think that does a disservice to the musicianship, and I think that's evident in what you're seeing now with a lot of the over displaying of chops. And I'll just kind of wrap it up. Is that
hey, David? Real quick though.
Yes.
Can you eat that microphone so we can hear you better?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
There we go. That's better.
Okay. I'll just kind of wrap it up in saying that a little quick story. I did a drum clinic one year somewhere, I can't remember, but there's always the gunslingers in the audience that want to show you that they have more chops or whatever than you do, and so I invited a couple of guys to come up on stage, and they came up and did all their tricks and cool stuff, and I was like, okay, cool. So then I pulled out a track and a chart. I said, all right. I said, now. I said, I want you to sight read this piece of music down top to bottom. I'll give you a couple of minutes to look at it and see where the road map is and everything, and I want you to see if you can nail it first time, or second time, whatever. And they couldn't get through the first 4 bars. And so I said to them, I said, okay. I said, you guys are really good at doing tricks on an instrument, but that doesn't make you professionals. Professionals are versatile. Professionals can go into different situations and sound good on all of them. And if need be, the professionals can pull out their chops and do things like that, or they can sit in the back and support the people out on the front line. So I think that's a very important thing to pass along. So end of my soapbox.
Well, I think that the main takeaway from that is people are sitting around learning to shred on the internet. And we're actually the first Tuesday in April. Gary's going to be back, and our main theme is going to be education and teaching and that sort of stuff in the jazz world. So we'll get into some of that more. But do you guys have you noticed that in young players? Are you noticing it in your students or anything, that this kind of, I'm learning one specific thing on the internet and not being able to interact with other players? That might be too open-ended
people
question.
just don't play together anymore.
Yeah.
People just don't play together anymore, which is one thing, because a lot of how I learned how to play was jamming with other players. Like I used to play with Gary a lot back in, in the 50s.
Late 80s, early 90s, yeah.
Yeah. Because and that's one thing, because I just know teaching, it's just, I'm always encouraged, do you ever play with anyone else? And they're always kind of, no. Like there's just the thing of jamming and playing and just working stuff out and sucking and then kind of trying to do better the next time, but in context, that's such a valuable, because then you realize right away, okay, I'm playing too much or I'm rushing or whatever it is,
Yeah.
Because at a certain point you have to listen or no one wants to play with you anymore.
But yeah, youngsters just have this for a whole year they've had this disadvantage, with these shutdowns and the things. It's kind of tragic. I've had really great students who quit because they don't see a future, or they can't play in an ensemble, or they go to college and they can't play. So this has to stop because we're killing culture with this virus that has to, have to move on, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's interesting. The one tour I did, the leader would find these kind of guitar phenoms on the internet, and when we were in town, he would invite them to come play. And most of these guys had a thing they did, and it wasn't about playing with the band. It was like, when do I get to do my thing? And then this is the chord I do it over, so do that. And it was kind of sad in a way that they could tell they weren't sitting in a room turning pages in the real book just trying to play stuff and figure it out, and or slugging it out in clubs or playing weddings just to work on your groove. And it's interesting.
Or trying to play behind someone else.
Yeah.
Or just having that skill of playing behind other players, especially a drummer or a bass player or a guitar player or a piano player or a percussionist.
Yeah, and sitting at home, you've got a lot of control over your situation. So, Gary, did you have something? Oh, but we've lost Gary in the final minutes.
Oh, no.
We've lost Gary. Well, we're going to work on that because we're going to have Gary back in a month. And so I'm going to go on to my closing credits. I just want to say thank you again. I think we got a couple of new tips. Jim from the Fighting Conquistadors. Thank you, Jim. Also, Andre. Hey, Andre's one of our regulars. And Colleen also. So thank you all for doing that. And, if you're watching this on an archive, or even if this, turns into a podcast someday, you can tip Odd Infinitum. We just got a tip the other day for a show that was 3 months ago, and I paid all the guys, and everything is groovy. So, but I want to say thank you again, Brad Dutz.
Thank you, Billy, for doing this. That's just great that you're providing this for musicians. So thank you for doing it.
And I'm looking forward to having the live bands again. And thank you, David Anderson.
Thank you for having me, Billy. And Billy, just real quick, you were also part of my yacht rock thing. I just want everybody to know that. It'll be coming down the pipe shortly.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. And thank you, Brad Rabuchin, again.
Thank you. It's always great to do things with you. Thanks so much for creating this world.
You're welcome. It's given me a little bit of sanity in this world during this whole breakdown. So, there's a lot of people that are, especially on Facebook, that I've missed, and I wanted to say Thank you for all the comments. I encourage the guys to go back and read all the comments so they can say thank you to you specifically when you do a shout out to one of them. Like Howard Lubin says, thanks, Brad R, Brad D, Gary, and David. Wonderful insight. Tawny says, you all are rad. Phil O'Connor says, great show. Karen Elaine says, yay, David. She's put a lot of good comments up here. Yes, David, here's to teamwork on performance. And I want to say thank you to Gary Meek. I'm sorry he's not here right now. But, nobody got really kicked off this week.
Dock his pay.
There he is. Let's see if we got him. Gary, do we have you? No, we don't. Okay, well.
Oh, darn.
Thank you. You can hear us, Gary. Here's your applause. People in the chat rooms love you. And we're going to keep doing this. If you go to our website, get on our mailing list, LiveAtZeroBPM.com. Get on the mailing list. I don't spam the heck out of you. I send out one email a week. And I'll include, if you go to the website or the Facebook page, you can find the survey. I'll put it in the comments or the section, the description of these things. You can find it. Just really want to know what you guys want. We are going to drop down to just 3 guests in March. I think that'll be able to get to more and not be so long. Gary, is that it? And Gary has so much to say. That's what's so terribly sad about this. It's crushing my soul, But we'll figure it out. It's so anyway. So many people are saying yes. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Bill, Sandro. Thank you, Karen, Phil, all the regulars, Taylor, Toby, and everybody. Jazz Forest leader. I still don't know who it is, but he's got some great comments. You want to? What's
I
that?
can tell you. Jazz Forest is Ron Jones up in
is it?
Washington. Yeah.
I should have known. It's the comments are great. So
Yes.
you guys, go back and look at the YouTube feed just to get his things. Thank you, Ron. Thank you. Bravo to you. And speaking of which, Ron, I want to get you on the show sometime. I want to do a whole thing on composers and arrangers, and it'd be great to have you.
Get Ron on. Yes.
Yeah, he's
Yes, get
like
him
the
on.
best. So okay, I'm gonna play my outro. So if you're watching at home, don't hang up yet. I spent all day on this. So where is my outgoing?
Thank you, Billy.
And I spared you
Thanks,
from my
Billy.
merch.
Good job, Billy.
I spared you from my merchandise commercial, but if you want T-shirts or hats, you can get them on the website, and that goes to help support my monthly expenses. Okay, here's the closing video. Thank you, guys. I'll see everybody here, not next week, but the week after, Tuesday, Thursday. We'll see you then. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for joining us at Live at 0 BPM. These videos will be archived on YouTube and Facebook, so tell your friends. Coming up, well, it turns out we're taking a week off to get ready for March. Starting in March, bands are back. Live bands from the studio each Thursday, and the Jazz Roundtables continue on the first and third Tuesday of each month. Showtime, 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And as always, it's free, though donations are greatly appreciated. Go to liveatzerobpm.com for details and to sign up for our mailing list. Also, find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. See you soon.